saw a new therapist, and I remember crying. He was maybe a month or two old, and I was just in the lows of all the lows. And I remember saying, and he doesn't even look anything like me because
Mhm.
my son was born with like fire red hair. He still has like orange hair. And I said, like, I don't even see myself in him. Like, I don't see a connection to him. And I think that even was like upsetting at the time. Now, I mean, he looks like all of us. It's fine. Babies
Yeah.
change. It's
Yeah.
just the perspective and where you are. So if you are someone who's listening, who's in this moment, it is, whew, I'm with you. It's hard. And it is your whatever you're feeling is right at the moment, and it will change. It will. It just will.
This is the Sage Real Stories podcast, where we are having unscripted, real conversations with women sharing their real journeys. I'm your host, Linda Nadell, CEO and founder of SageLink, a platform on a mission to create more meaningful and supportive connections based on our shared human experiences. Welcome to another episode of Sage Real Stories. I'm here with Emily Greenberg as part of our Sage Real Female Founder series, and I'm really excited for this interview. I saw a post that Emily made with a very vulnerable video sharing her own personal journey as a mother and what prompted her to create Joy. And it's truly inspiring. So I'm really excited to dive in today. So thanks for being here, Emily.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Emily is the mom of two and co founder of Joy Parenting Club. Emily spent her early career first in education, learning about how technology can help solve the needs of parents and families thereafter. She started Joy because of her own experience as a new mom and decided to build the platform that she wished she had. The Joy Parenting Club provides 24/7 access to certified experts and parent coaches. It is an all in one platform for answers, support, advice, practical tips, community, and even discounts to trusted expert brands. Love that. And Joy supports 50,000 members across the country. She believes that all parents deserve this type of support in the very first steps in a very new world of parenting. Joy has had some remarkable traction, including closing a $10 million seed round recently. So let's dive in. I am really excited to hear more about your personal journey. This series, Emily, is, as I mentioned, about getting to below the surface. We see sometimes, unlike what you've shared, which is more rare, but oftentimes we just see what's the tip of the iceberg above the water. We don't often see what's beneath the surface. And everything in the iceberg is huge and what it takes to actually get to where we are. And so this series really gets into that. And the importance of that is listeners and founders and maybe women that want to maybe explore entrepreneurship that are tuning in can feel okay, it doesn't have to go by a certain playbook. Maybe founders are feeling like they're not doing it right or they're not the perfect, kind of picture of what they think a founder should be and what the journey should be like. It's really important to share these stories for that reason and also inspiration and learning. So, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story today.
Of course, however I can be helpful or share whatever feels relevant or resonates with other women, it's wonderful.
I'd love to start with your segue into creating something from nothing because you had a career and maybe an interest. Did you have an interest in entrepreneurship or it just truly sparked from your personal experience?
I did. I did. And I did a little few things on the side, just sort of like little hobbies as a mom that I'm like, oh, this could be something, or like this could be, whatever. But I was always working for a company or for other people, and that's great too. And that has its own benefits of like the frameworks are there, it's a machine that's already running. But I think where you find personal connection overlapping with your skill set, overlapping with a need in the market, it feels like the sweet spot to be able to dive in and create a solution or to create something that feels like it could really get legs and take off. And so, that was the goal. And I think it's done that. But really, it started with a deep sort of personal need and a personal history with the problem myself. And so that's really where it began. As you said, I had a career. I was a teacher first. I was like a classroom teacher in public schools, which was wonderful. And then I transitioned into technology companies that supported schools. So that was like kind of the next concentric circle after the classroom work. I worked and lived in New Jersey, and then I moved to San Francisco in 2015 to join a company called Alt School, which at the time was an incredibly well-resourced Silicon Valley tech company promising to personalize learning for students. And I always felt like, the one size fits all model of education was broken. And I saw in my own classroom it didn't really work. And so Alt School was building technology to create bespoke curriculum and pathways and different abilities for children to learn at their own pace, even their own types of content. So you could be learning something different than the person sitting next to you. And so as a teacher, I was really excited to build alongside the engineering team, the product team, the design team. And so I helped to do that. And then I helped to bring that product into the hands of classrooms outside of our own little bubble. That was the first sort of technology education overlap. I called it a startup university because
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
like I was leaving a very sort of, old school, this is how it's done in a classroom, to like ping pong tables and like the startup lingo and Silicon Valley just sort of ways. And so it really felt like a learning that I didn't know I was prepared for. I probably was not prepared for. And so Startup University, aka Alt School, was a real springboard into then being able to find the confidence to speak around, building solutions myself. And then when I became a mom, sort of right in that area, both career wise and personally, I was just exploded from the inside. Like, what am I going to do? Who am I? What do I want to do? Do I want to do something with parents? Do I want to stay in education? Do I want to be with my child at home? The answer in that case for me was I don't full time. But, it was a time of real just change, and it allowed me to explore different opportunities and work for a bunch of different companies in the meantime before Joy. And so now my children are almost 7 and 4.5. So
Okay.
seven plus years ago was when this all sort of started.
Amazing. So, sometimes the universe kind of just
Yeah,
collaborates. It sounds like that was a really great kind of scaffolding to then have this idea. It was like a fertile ground from which this idea was able to grow.
exactly. That's exactly right.
For listeners, I'm going to include a link to your post
Sure.
that you made with a beautiful, touching video
Mhm.
about what really got you to start thinking about creating joy. Take us back there. What were
Back
you
to
going
what?
through?
Okay. So I got pregnant with my son, James. And I mean, this is because we're in a community of women, maybe other people went through this as well. I had a very complicated medical history in my life. I have something called Crohn's disease. And so it's always been in the back of my head, like when I get pregnant, stuff can happen, or like we're not really sure. There's always been like question marks around like my own physical health and how will it be conceiving? How will it be carrying a baby? And so autoimmune issues can be complicated, and mine has been very complicated in my life. And so I got pregnant, without issue, which was wonderful. I know a lot of women struggle in their fertility journey, and I cannot empathize directly with that, but I can empathize with wanting your body to do something that it isn't doing. And so
Yeah.
luckily I was able to get pregnant very easily, but the pregnancy was a little bit tough. I was diagnosed at about 34 weeks with pretty severe preeclampsia and was told to really watch it in terms of like blurry vision, your blood pressure. Preeclampsia is something that generally comes up in the later weeks of pregnancy. So I was, just at about 34 weeks. And, when you tell someone to like calm down and watch your blood pressure, it's like a key, at least for me, as like a anxious Jewish soon to be mother, to like
Yeah.
not calm down, but really check it incessantly and really be on top of things and just, so my blood pressure was pretty out of control, and I've never had these issues before. And so I was admitted in like an emergent kind of way. And, the trauma of a emergency induction and birth 5 weeks early. I mean, look, there are so many people who have so much more traumatic situations or life threatening situations. And this is not to take away from that. But at the same time, mentally and physically, it launches you into motherhood in a way that wasn't at all what I expected. So he was born 5 weeks early. I lost a lot of blood, was in the hospital far longer than I planned to be, was on all kinds of different drips and catheters. And very, very, very scary. My son was in the NICU and I had to be readmitted for a bunch of different things. So it was a really hard thing. And emotionally, I was just unprepared. I was not prepared physically, like my milk didn't really come in because I was really early. We had to monitor every single ounce he ate. So I was pumping. And yet everyone was like, well, just try to breastfeed, put him on your breast. And I was like, I don't know how. Like, this is all new to me. I was one of
Yeah.
my first friends in my friend circle to have kids. I was lucky enough to have family, but it's isolating and scary. And so I think the birth trauma was a trigger for some mental health reactions where for me it was very much a disconnect from like being enamored by this thing. I think I was so obsessed with the idea of him being okay and the idea of him having to survive that like I'd almost rather avoid. I'd be like, can someone else hold him? Can someone else take him? I need 5 minutes. I can't. I felt like, how is this real? Like I felt like I was in a dream, like a very sort of like hazy, confusing, never-ending cycle dream. Because when you're postpartum, and Linda, I'm not sure if you have children, but and if you
I
remember,
do. I
the,
do.
the postpartum clock is very different than like the normal clock of a human. People would be like, when can I come visit? And we'd be like, it doesn't matter because this is just like a hamster wheel that we're not able to get off.
There's no reprieve.
There is none. And it's so interesting because when you have a baby, it stops being about you and it starts being about the baby. But I was still just so physically unwell and just so ill prepared to be a parent in the sense that like they hand you this thing in the hospital and they send you off on your way. And I'm probably more prepared than most people. I have a master's in education. I've been around children my entire life. I've spent my career building things for families. And yet I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so it's an experience that I know is so common because like
So
there's
common.
no way it's just me. There's just
Yeah.
no way. But at the
No.
time when you're going through it, you're like, I am doing something wrong. I'm the worst mom. What mom doesn't want to hold her baby all day? Like what mom
Right.
wants her husband to take the baby to the doctor instead of her? Like I felt guilty. I felt really guilty because I felt like I caused the delivery. This sounds crazy now, 7 years later, but at the time, it was like I made him come early.
Yeah.
He's upset. He doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm a bad parent. So all of these thoughts that are understandable, but really isolating and really just scary. And it puts you in a place of just not, I mean, plus you're exhausted, like you're not sleeping at all.
You literally can't find the joy in it
No.
when you're so physically and emotionally
Yeah.
stretched
Yep.
that you can't sometimes find that joy.
Absolutely. And it's almost like you feel like you should be and you're
Mhm.
not. And then that makes it worse because you're like,
Yes.
oh, I'm
Yes.
definitely doing something wrong here.
Yes. It's been 14 years since I had my daughter. I do remember this, but
Yeah.
it's becoming even more a reminder right now because my sister and cousin, who I'm very close with, are both brand new moms. And so I'm seeing this with them as well and the doubt. And it's such a struggle, but then the self criticism,
Yep.
it's so powerful
It
because,
is so powerful.
yeah.
And, you text a friend for some advice, and the friend tells you what they did, and you're like, all right, well, I don't know if that helps. Your pediatrician, I mean, how many times can I call and say, hi, it's me again, sorry. Um, Google, I mean, forget about it.
Yeah.
And then even there's just nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's so much out there about babies, but there's nothing out there about my baby other than the history that I'm creating with it as I go.
Right.
And so, I'd be writing down every diaper change, I'd be recording every bottle, but it really felt like I was in it alone. And then I like went back to work and it's like, well, now what? Now he's in daycare getting sick. It was just a
Mhm.
horrible, horrible experience. And so I felt like honestly, when I really like am honest with myself, year of parenthood was really, really, really hard. I mean, there were happy moments and I loved my son, but it was hard. Like, but the things that I think helped to turn it around, other than like my hormones, like physically probably returning to their normal
Yeah,
self,
yeah, which
because
is
you're physically just so out of whack,
yep.
were were formula. I decided to stop breastfeeding. I could have continued. It would have been really hard to continue because I wasn't producing enough. I saw lactation consultants. I have like back and forth 77 emails back and forth trying to solve the problem. I did it around 4 months. So I breastfed him for
Yep,
4 months or so,
which is
switched to
great.
formula. I'm telling you, Linda, the morning he woke up after having formula, he smiled. He was settled. It was like he like looked at me and was like, Mom, it's okay.
Personal story, I know somebody who was just so entranced in I cannot give my baby formula that tragically the baby got dehydrated and admitted to the hospital, got IV fluids too fast, which was a mistake of the hospital. But that baby ended up permanently developmentally delayed. You have to do what's best for what you think is best for the baby and for yourself.
Yeah, and it was that decision exactly. I was like, is this best for him?
Right.
He will be fine. Is
Yeah.
this best for me? Yes. And it will help me be a better mother to him.
Yeah.
And so that really, really helped relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah.
Daycare really helped, even though he was homesick all the time. And honestly, I don't know that I ever really thought about this, but the seasons really affect, like I had him in October.
Mm,
So by the time I was it was like winter. I was like with him
mm.
in an apartment in Brooklyn alone, not going outside. And then all of a sudden it's like May and like life opens up a little bit. And so I think that really helped to like, bring a little like warmth to the situation, literally. And then just sleep routines, all of the things that just sort of fall into place. But it was really hard. So I will tell you about Joy in a moment.
Yeah.
I have a daughter as well who was born 2.5 years later. And I was really scared that I was going to fall back into this,
Mm.
emotional puddle. And a little bit it happened. I had preeclampsia again, even worse. So it happened again.
Oof.
It was COVID. So like all the cards were stacked in all the wrong places. But she latched immediately, literally crawled out of the womb and wouldn't stop eating. And I was like, we did it. So that was a win. And I think that feeling that confidence early on with her was just such a different experience. She was born 3 weeks later than he was. She was bigger. I had a toddler at home. Like it's just like a whole different can of worms. And so I hear a lot of parents telling me that 0 to 1 was actually easier than going from 1 to 2. For me, going from
Yeah.
0 to 1 was an absolute explosion of life. Going from 1 to 2 was hard, but much smoother. And so, everyone has their own experience and like
Yeah.
the way
I
their
would
family.
imagine too, like you just have a level of confidence with
Yeah,
number two that if that was a big issue for you, that self-confidence, at
yeah.
least that was kind of like, okay, like I've been here before. This is familiar. It's
Yes,
not a
a
complete
hundred
unknown.
percent. It was just, yeah, there are so many things. Like I remember seeing a new therapist at the time. I recommend therapy to
Yes.
anyone at any point, but I saw a new
Right.
therapist and I remember crying. He was maybe a month or two old and I was just in the lows of all the lows. And I remember saying, and he doesn't even look anything like me because
Mhm.
my son was born with like fire red hair. He
Yeah.
still has like orange hair. And I said, like, I don't even see myself in him.
Mhm.
Like, I don't see a connection to him. And I think that even was like upsetting at the time. Now, I mean, he looks like all of us. It's fine. Babies
Yeah.
change. It's
Yeah.
just the perspective and where you are. So if you are someone who's listening, who's in this moment, it is, ooh, I'm with you. It's hard. And it is whatever you're feeling is right at the moment and it will change. It will. It just will. Mm, That was a big learning.
Two questions, they kind of tie together.
Yeah.
What would joy have done for you
Yeah.
at that point? And then what like sparked you to say, I'm going to create something better than what's out there?
Yeah. Well, they're kind of connected because I think what joy would have done for me would have really focused me into finding the answers that I needed and the peace of mind that I needed in one place because I was like an all do anything kind of person, but like when one thing didn't work, I went to the next thing, went to the next thing, went to the next thing. But nothing was like a one, I don't love the term one stop shop, but whatever. A one stop shop, a place to go, a place to trust where people know what they're
Yeah,
talking about. And the idea of it being 24/7 was always a need because your questions do not stop at 2 in the morning. In fact, they probably are like perseverating in your head even more.
for
And
sure.
so the idea that something could exist like half the day just like was never
Mhm.
an option. It had to be instant and it had to be all around the clock. And so I think what that would have enabled me to do if I was a new mom with Joy, I think I would have, first of all, been a super user. I would have asked like a 9,000 questions a day. Probably I would have been the ones that they like were like, got another question from Emily? I would have been like, yeah, I heard from her today. So that was me. And I think I just would have felt armed with just the confidence at the beginning that I didn't have. Like our goal for Joy parents isn't to make them constantly need help. It's to give them the tools so that they don't need help, that they need help in different ways. We want you to eventually graduate and be a parent who is fully trusting of their own decisions, intuitions, whatever. And then when you don't know, you come to us and ask. And we're not necessarily just a place where you go to get an answer that's like a right or a wrong. Sometimes it's like, can I do this with my baby? And sometimes the answer is like yes or no. But sometimes it's more just about talking it through.
Right.
Like, when's the right time to move? I'm a new mom and we're thinking about moving. When's the right time? There's no right time. We're just here to like talk about it with you. Parent coaches who are all parents, moms and dads, who
Love
have
it.
who have kids in all different stages, everything from twins to, loss and miscarriage to divorce, blended families, stay-at-home parents, working parents, all different kinds of experiences. And so there's someone there for you to connect with. And if you're someone who doesn't have that community or village, like that is literally what we are. And
Amazing. And I just want to pause there and say this is like so cool because I mean, I'm trying to create also a coaching network through Sage because the relatability factor, right? You can go to a therapist, you can go to a coach, but sometimes they don't really get what you're going through. So the fact that these coaches on your platform have been there, they understand.
there.
I mean,
They know it, they get it, they
yeah,
can say, you can just talk. Like this is no judgment. You're not gonna like, we are here, we're not going anywhere. You can say as much as you'd like. And then alongside those coaches, when they don't have the answer, because certainly they're not experts in any clinical sense, we have clinical experts for both feeding and sleep. So we have the term, I'm sure you've heard IBCLC. So they're internationally board certified lactation consultants
yeah,
and certified sleep experts or sleep consultants. And so they provide everything from like, sleep plans, customized templates, troubleshooting, like, oh, well, yesterday you told me to put them down at 2 and it didn't really work. Let's try something new. So just continued all inclusive support. Whereas normally, and if you were me, I did this. I paid hundreds of dollars to have one call, once with sleep and once with feeding, not really any follow up. And it's like, okay, well, that was sort of helpful for a second,
mhm.
but now it's not. So this is ongoing, continued
It's like
support.
your hand is being held
Your hand is being
along.
held. And you know what's so interesting is like, as I mentioned, I have this complicated medical history. And I always felt like, my GI doctor never really spoke. He didn't even know who my, rheumatologist was. Like they're not connected.
Right,
That they're not looking at me as a whole person.
right.
But with Joy, that is exactly what we're doing, where we have our care team or your care circle, like, oh, you know what? I'd love to introduce you to Heidi on our team or to Olena on our team because they're experts in XYZ and I'll let them know that da 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 da. So we're all speaking the same
So
language.
important. With a background in healthcare, I saw and continue to see firsthand how disjointed care teams can be. It's really problematic. So again, just amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
really. So there's some AI integrated into your platform. Explain how that works and where that comes in to this.
Yeah, and it's continuing to evolve as AI is. I think like 2 weeks ago we didn't even like it's like we're, classically learning as we go and
Yeah.
building this as we go. So right now we have AI working to point, we're kind of like air traffic controlling you to the right resource. So for
Okay.
instance, if you come in into Joy and you ask us a question, and Joy, by the way, is an app, there are certain questions that like just like the answer is what it is. So like
Yes.
how long, a good example of this is like how long can I leave breast milk out of the fridge? Like you don't need a lactation consultant to answer that question. Like we can help
Mhm.
you find that resource. And so the Joy tool will guide you to one of our expert written articles, or will summarize something that gives you that answer. And if you still have questions, you can always escalate to speak with a real person. So it's like that
Brilliant.
first level of
Yeah.
support. And as we continue to build, it'll continue to do more things. We'll be able to draw insights like, ooh, you've read 4 articles on mixing bottles. Would it be helpful to talk to someone about that? Or would it be helpful for us to like show you a video or
Amazing.
demonstration? Or like, oh, we noticed that you've asked 7 questions about cat naps. Do you want us to build you a XYZ schedule? So I think it'll continue to grow and get smarter. We wanted to not, and I will continue to hold on to the principle that we won't be removing humans
Mm.
from the equation. As savvy and as seamless as AI conversations can be, I still think in this time of life talking to a person is pretty irreplaceable.
Not just any person, but like you said, someone who's actually has
Yeah,
that shared experience.
totally.
That's really special
It's very
and
special, and it's
important.
exactly, and it really just like that's what helps parents feel that confidence is
Yeah.
the other person. So it really is a pairing of AI and technology and like best in class developers with the best experts who do
Wow.
this. And our experts all do this in their lives. So they don't just work for Joy, they like work in a hospital or they have a private
Okay.
practice. And so this is something that's like additive to their work. It's really important to me that they're all in, hands-on practice learning current, up to date stuff and bringing that into their work here.
Perfect. What an undertaking to create this platform. How did you get started? You have two co-founders.
Do. And they
Share a
are
little bit about
part of
getting
the
this off the
story.
ground.
Yeah. So I have two co-founders, Alan Chan. He is our group CEO. He's based out in Oakland, California. And then Charlie Carpenter is our chief product officer and is in London, and as is all of our tech team. And their dads, they each have two, or one has two, one has three. And so they've also gone through this themselves. And so Alan has a history of building products for families more in like the hardware space. He built like a cool photo frame that was originally called Joy Memories that he was able to sell to families right out of the hospital with their newborn memories that they could like then send to grandma or whatever.
Mm.
The photos would change and it was beautiful. And he and Charlie partnered on that. And they were looking for someone who was looking to build a technology tool for new parents. And so we've known each other for quite a while. We've been met, back in my San Francisco days. But when they were really looking to transition to building something purely digital, they wanted a person who was, had the history of doing this and who was looking to kind of dive in from the ground up. And that's really what I love to do is take like the problem and some resources and just like put together like the simplest solution, test it, and then sort of see how it goes. So when we started, our first beta test was just through text message. So there was no app. We always knew we wanted to build like a holistic platform, but what we said was like, you know what, let's just like get a phone number. And so we used, obviously a platform to keep all of our customer information private and together and so forth. But we used text message and we just chatted with moms. And to this day, you can still text us
I
unless,
love that. I
yeah,
mean, so that is classic, Y Combinator is style advice. Like just start with like the most absolute basic low cost MVP. So you had people, how did you sell that? Like sign up for our messaging, like
yeah,
text.
a lot of different ways. We do a lot of, organic social. We do a lot of partnerships, especially as I mentioned with our Joy Shop. So we have brands that we partner with that are able to then cross promote and we can share to their audiences. And then we have a lot of other partners that we meet with early on in the customer journey. So even in the hospital, when parents get, like their newborn photos taken in the hospital, often we have relationships with those companies so that we can offer them the Joy service right after birth. So we're also listed on baby lists. So we have a lot of different
Mhm.
channels to find parents in like the earliest stages.
And this first version,
Yeah.
you would have you sign up so people pay for this text?
Yeah, so we would
Yeah.
do a trial, generally like a month-long trial,
Mhm.
and then they would continue to pay. And it's the pricing is important because to me, one of our core pillars and our core values is keeping this accessible. I think like high quality access to certified experts is a 1% feature in this country, and I think
Yeah.
it should feel like a thing everybody just gets. So, other apps for parents, even apps without human in the loop are like 20, 30, $40 a month or
Mm.
more. Joy's always been $12 a month. So it is all inclusive, as many questions as you want to ask us, as many things as you want to read, as many things as you want to buy. And the discount we give back to the parent. So you're really kind of paying for your own subscription, just in the savings that you're getting.
So you would have your first kind of network of coaches texting with moms,
Yeah.
answering their questions as they come in,
Yep,
basically.
we had two parent coaches and a sleep consultant and a feeding consultant. That's where we started. And
Amazing.
we've built out now, I think the team is about 20.
Wow.
And it's not, again, not full time. So these are people who like come on in shifts and do different
Sure.
things. We also just launched a cool feature called Joy Connect, which is additional, but it is a one-to-one video call for 30 minutes. Because sometimes you're like, I just want
Mm,
to like talk to you. Like I just,
right. Instead
we're
of
sitting
chatting, you mean?
instead of chatting, right? Or
Yes.
in addition to chatting, like, oh,
Sure.
I have something so specific to like potty training. Like I'm potty training my son and like, can I just get on the phone with someone for 30 minutes and we can like make a plan? And then you can follow up through text message, right? Like you can always have access, but it is a full family support system. So I have a child who's 7 and one who's almost 5. And so I still read things all the time. Like, why is my daughter having a hard time sharing, or like why is my son being so competitive? Like
Right.
there are pieces of content and tools that just are so they grow with you as
Yeah, I love that. The content is amazing. Who
you.
creates your content? Is
So
it
we have writers and experts. It's all written in-house. So
amazing?
we have not done one copy, one chat GPT, one like help me write an article about, no. This
Yeah.
is all written by our own team. And it's important because the worst thing would be to come in and read something and then read another article and it contradicted what you just read. So like everything has to be really well, QA'd and really well,
Trustworthy.
trustworthy. Exactly.
So you started with this very scrappy MVP. You had
Yes.
this amazing team that just kind of came together magically.
Came together magically. I mean, I've been in this world for a very long time.
Yeah.
So like I had friends who were like, leaving one job and needing something to do. I'm like, come be a parent coach. You would be an incredible parent coach. You're a teacher or you're a doula or you're a therapist. Like, come be a parent coach. And they're like, okay, we'll trust you. So,
Perfect.
but it fits into their lives. And actually for moms, it fits into their lives in a really nice way.
Yeah.
We had a customer, a parent who is now a parent coach. So it's a really nice thing for parents to like, ooh, like, what's my career going to be? What am I going to go back to work? Like, what do I know how to talk about? Ooh, I know how to talk about being a mom. Like, maybe there's something where I can talk about that.
So cool.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point in between just starting out
Yeah.
text messaging service to where you are now in a $10 million seed round, which is really, quite significant. So really hats off to you there.
You. And we're closing our A. We're going to announce. I'm not sure when this will,
Amazing.
but yeah, it's exciting. So Alan and Charlie were huge partners in that journey in the fundraising. One of our lead investor is Yuri Kim on the Forerunner team out in San Francisco, and she's just been, I mean, she might as well be like a part of the leadership team. She is just
Wow.
such an incredible resource. She's a mom. She has kids around the same age as my kids. Just helps us get into the nitty gritty. So I think forming the relationships with people who not only are there to help boost financially and continue to fund the growth of the company, but also provide the very even micro level support and decision making. So she was that for us. We
Great.
heard a lot of no's, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot of no's, and that's normal.
Yeah.
And you expect that, especially when you don't have anything to show yet, right? You're like, we have this idea, we have this sort of well set up test, but
That's what I
like,
was going to say is what was
yeah,
your initial story that
yeah.
you think got your investment money? Like what was your traction?
I think the story was That's a good question. I mean, it was always painting the picture of what it will be and what it is now. So, like,
Okay,
we went into it saying, like, this is where we're starting, but
sure.
this is what it's going to look like. This is what AI can do. This is how many parents we think will be able to reach. This is not only a lane for support, but it's also a commerce opportunity. We want to be able to support parents in all kinds of lanes, not just development, but like if somebody wants to set up like life insurance for their child, or, ooh, I want to learn more about where to send my child to school. This shouldn't just feel like a place you go for newborn advice. And I think painting the pictures of how partnerships fit in and strategic integrations fit in, it all of a sudden started feeling really compelling because it was not just one single thing, but a set of bringing together a really fractured market where in the past you'd go to get your child development resource over here, and then you know where to buy your products over here, and you're signing up for this app over here. And I think the tie-in of all of that felt compelling to a lot of people.
Yeah, and each of those had kind of already been proven models, and you
Exactly.
had little points of validation kind of also with probably good, I would imagine good experiences with the texting and
Great experiences with the texting, and then what we did on the content side was we wrote probably like, I don't know, 400 or 500 articles to start, which is no small feat. Put them on a web page, and then we'd tell our folks, this again, this is like back in beta world, we'd say like,
yeah,
oh yeah, we're texting you about this, but like we have this article, you can go log into this site and you could read it. And then very quickly it became clear that like this one place in an app is where the messaging should go, tracking should go, the content. And so that's sort of
brilliant,
how it evolved. Yeah.
amazing. How long ago are we talking? Where were you time-wise at
This
that
was
point?
about, so I want to say just about 2 years ago,
Wow.
maybe early fall 2023, we
Wow.
started our first tests of beta SMS. And we still have parents from that same cohort continuing to use Joy, which is wonderful. We launched the
Yes.
app about a year later. So we launched the
Okay.
app in October 2024. So we haven't even been at a year yet for the
So you
app.
had gotten funding for the app build, I'm
Yes.
assuming, and then you
Yes,
were able to go
exactly.
ahead.
Yep. And then we continued to raise our Series A, and again, really just built our board with wonderful, investors and leaders that believe in supporting families. And it's been a journey.
Okay, so now let's get real. We have 10 minutes or
Sure.
less left. What's been the toughest point as a founder for you? We talked about your challenges as a mother,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
maybe they're related.
maybe they are. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel, first of all, not to answer what's tough with what's great, but what's great about being a founder and a mom is, especially in building something for parents, is like I would be a horrible founder and a horrible leader if I wasn't able to live my life as a mom in the way that I want to show other parents how to
Mhm.
do. I canceled 2 calls this morning and my kids went to the dentist. And that shouldn't feel, to me, that shouldn't feel undoable. And Joy has allowed me to paint my life and my life as a parent in a way that I am able to be. I don't even think I don't think one is first or second. I am like fully both at all times. And I don't think one subtracts from the other, which has been a gift. And then in terms of what's tough, I mean, building a startup is really hard. Like, it is really, this has been, other than being a classroom teacher, which is like the opposite of a startup, this has been my only sense. Like, I've never worked in like a big company. It's just not me. So, like, the idea of like something working and then it doesn't work, something breaks,
Mhm.
you have like a big launch and then something happens where you have to change it. Like, that's just sort of it's what I love. It's so fun. So, I don't think of those parts as really hard.
Okay.
It's just expected and you just roll with it and
Okay.
you do what you got to do. I mean, the fundraise journey is not easy. It's hard. And I think like having insight to all levels of like, where we're using resources, where we can't hire, even though we'd really love to, we just like can't right now, having to wear multiple hats. It's been an interesting perspective having that like full circle view on the budget side and on the like operating side, how it all works together. So yeah, you have to make sacrifices and trade-offs, be as transparent as you can to the people you work with, bring in great people, arm yourself with people you trust. One of our investors told me this couple months ago, she heard this. She said to lead as though you're leading to win, you're not leading not to lose. I thought that that was like an interesting
Yeah.
difference. And the idea of leading not to lose, like what would that look like?
Mm,
Is it safe? Is it just making everyone happy? Is it
right.
avoiding doing something because it feels a little hard? But leading to win, like what does that look like? Is it doing something really hard that's going to be like a short-term pain for like the long-term benefit? Is it taking a risk? Is it like reaching out to someone cold who you don't know and just like saying, "Hi, I'm Emily. Like, can I talk to you?" That's stuck with me, and I think it's been a good like guiding principle for me.
Yeah, it's like making not making fear-based decisions,
Yeah.
but making, brave decisions.
And trusting that you know what you're talking about. I think sometimes, for me at least, and I don't know about other women who are listening to this, I have been a mom working to build things for moms and then go. I feel like I don't have another person. Like, I'm like, what else could I talk about? Like, if it wasn't this, like, what else would I be doing? Like, I don't know. I feel though that I can get sucked into that like, oh, well, it's just because you're a parent. Like that's why you want it. So it's like,
Got it.
no, you actually have the skill set to lead an organization and really make strategic decisions and do
Yeah.
hard things. And so, that confidence
Mm,
comes with time, but it's definitely a growing pain.
yeah, sort of imposter syndrome
Little,
type.
yeah.
Yeah. And with the mom founder role,
Yeah.
what's a tip that you have for all of the mompreneurs? I don't really love that term, but the mom business owners out there to kind of just maintain balance. It sounds like you have a great balance.
Don't know if this is a tip, but I found that I needed to support and develop my own human Emily identity just as a person who has other interests and other worlds than her kids or her work. I don't know what that looks like for other people because I do feel like those two things blend together and I get wrapped up in both of them. But I had to say, no, no. Like my husband, for instance, loves to garden. That's great. I don't love to garden. But I've gotten to like think about like what is it that you do like to do as a person? Not listen to a podcast about starting a startup. Like, no, no, that's in the work bucket. And not talk
Right.
to my friends about like who my kid's teacher is going to be next year. No, no, no. That's in the kid bucket. Like what's in the
Mhm.
me? What am I doing for me as a human person? And so I've started to think about that. I've started to build up a few like just fun hobbies just to give myself some time to like, disconnect and to really feel like I am a part of this too. And I
Right.
think it just helps, it helps in both of those other worlds to have that.
Super great advice. Along those lines, what do you do in terms of boundaries with your schedule? What are your work hours? Do you set a hard limit or does everything kind of blur together?
Set a hard limit. I have to say, I really don't. Maybe this is bad advice, but well, also, I work with people in like every time zone on the planet. So it's really hard. And I
Yeah,
can imagine for other people who have like remote teams that can feel like a real challenge. So
right.
personally, I don't say like these are my work hours. But at the same time, if it's 2 o'clock and I'm going to a workout class, that's fine too. I sort of try to just take it day by day. And if, I have to join a call at 5 a.m. because it's in London, that's fine.
There's trade-offs.
There's trade-offs.
Weekends? Do you work weekends?
I don't really work weekends, but I think I wouldn't not if I had to, like if I
If you had
needed
a
to build
call.
something, I would totally do it, of course. Again, I felt feel very, very lucky at this point that I think I've found the right balance for me. And when it feels like it's not the right
Right.
balance, then you have to change it, or
Yeah.
else you'll get yourself sucked into something that feels like you can't escape, and that's not good either. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know some people are like, I work from this time to this time, and then I'm with my family. I don't find that works for me. I need to do whatever it is at the moment it needs to be done, and
And give yourself the space to be flexible. I love that. Last piece of advice in terms of what's something that you wish you knew at the very, very start that you've learned through the journey as a person, as a founder, and as Emily.
my gosh, I think it's so funny. Dr. Becky, who I know and admire, says as a parent to tell your kids, like, you can do hard things. I think I would tell myself that you can do hard things. Like, you really can. And they will make you stronger. It's so generic, but like, You can. I was a very play it safe kind of kid. I applied early decision to college because I didn't want to go through the whole thing. I wanted to know that I was going to go somewhere I liked, and I wanted to avoid any kind of like discomfort.
Mm,
That was like who I was. But when you look at someone now who's a founder of a company, that doesn't seem like a person who would be playing it safe, but I
right.
was. And so I think I would tell myself, like, you can do hard things. And if you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're giving yourself, too much, like expose yourself to stuff that's hard. I think that I would just give myself that kick in the butt and the confidence that you are good and you do hold value in the roles you put yourself in.
So powerful. Like just expand your self limitations.
Think
We limit
so.
ourselves. We're fearful, fear of failure, whatever it is, right? And fear of discomfort. Emily, you have done so much. I'm just really inspired by you, by your whole story, as I'm sure whoever tuned into this is as well.
Thank you
So,
for this is so lovely to chat through, and I'm excited to learn more about other people you've spoken to and hear about others that, have gone through different and similar journeys. So if you want to reach out, you can always I'll give you my email or whatever, however you generally tell people to
perfect.
contact each other.
Yeah, there'll be a direct link to reach out to Emily. As with all our founders as part of this series, the most incredible part of it is that all of the founders are open to outreach. If Emily's story resonated with you, if you want to dive deeper on something, that's what it's all about, is being inspired and connecting to the support you need. Check out Joy if you're a mom or a
New parent,
parent.
Joy, reach out to me if you'd like a free month. I'm happy to give that to you, no problem.
Incredible.
Um, and yeah, I look forward to connecting more.
Amazing, Emily. And for anyone listening, SageLink is all about creating these connections and support to women who have been there. We are on our own founder journey. Our platform is just getting going. So I'd love for you to be part of our beta that's rolling out. And that link will be in bio as well. So
You for this space for other, women to have this resource. It's wonderful.
thank you, Emily.
Join our network of real women and real wisdom at sagelink.com, SAYGELINK.